Well, she's gonna probably fix them.
She's gonna fix them?
So they didn't look like Indians.
Yeah. Okay, and then there's some pictures of Mom, very young, you know. And then this was a cute one. It said Barbara's New Coat, 1937. See that little pointed hat and the fur on the things. And then this one said ready for the dance, 1937.
Yeah.
And then a picture of Nell and Barbara at the beach in 1939. See how much taller Mom is than Nell? Even at that time.
I was trying to say Kathy. It looks like Kathy.
There. And then this one on her on the bench. It says Barbara Wilson, University of Texas, 1941. What a cute picture. She looks so happy. She looks I'm away from home.
She looks like Trixie Belden or something.
But here's the thing. They lived during the school year. They stayed in. They lived in Tyler, Texas. They lived in Tyler, Texas. The girls, they did their high school and everything in Tyler, Texas. But as soon as school was out, they headed for Riverside, and they stayed in Riverside all summer.
Mimi never took care of them as 3 months off of school or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
They went
Can
to
I
California.
relate a little something that Mom told me? She said that after Daddy Pa and Mimi came and got her and Nell, went back home, that was in Texas, so that Grandma Wilson was so worried about Mom, because she was so young, that she wrote her letter and said if she wanted to come home, she would buy her a pony. If she wanted to come back to California, she would buy her a pony. But Mom said it was real tempting, but she didn't want to leave Nell by herself.
Yeah.
Wow.
So living in Texas, they probably weren't the only half white, half Indian people in
Oh,
their
no,
community.
no, no. But,
so it wouldn't have been that big a deal.
and they didn't look but there is a special relation between Texans and Indians. There are no Indians in Texas. No tribes live there. No, there's no reservations.
Really?
That was part of settling Texas. All Indians.
And to this day, they don't have.
There's no tribals, anything. No. No. We drove them all out to Oklahoma or like that. There are no Indian tribes settled in Oklahoma. There's no agencies, no.
In Texas.
In Texas.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
They don't like Indians. And it's
So
become a
that's
tradition.
from
It's
That's where that all came from.
And so they were raised then by Mimi. And for your younger ones, you have to know the temperament of a person like Mimi. Difficult.
Yes.
Difficult.
She was a different person with her friends and church friends than she was at home, and she was a closet drinker too.
She was a native Texan, right?
Born in Bridgeport. Neighbors to Bonnie Barker.
I wonder
A Bonnie and Clyde?
Did she go to school with Bonnie?
Yep.
And she said that if there was a black person on the street from sundown, they were shot. Do you remember when we took the bus from Phoenix to Roswell, and that black woman kind of looked after us?
We were very young, 8 or 9,
Yeah.
on the bus bar, around bus bar. So
Yeah.
we were going to Roswell because
Daddy had just passed away.
Yeah,
And
and
that
we were
was
going
the-
to spend some time, in Roswell with Mimi and Daddy.
No, we drove down there with them. We were coming back.
We were,
No, we went down on
it
a
was
bus.
one time when we
Greyhound
got.
bus.
We did drive down there. It must have been a different summer because we did drive down there with them.
Well, I was very young.
But anyway, but we were on this bus, and there was this black lady driving by herself, big bosom, and what very kind. She thought we were a little young to be,
Yeah,
going across country around a bus. So she kind of
Made sure we got back on the
on the
bus.
bus after the restroom stops, and different things like that. And so we got off the bus, and you're looking around for Mimi and Daddy Pa and stuff like that. And she was still kind of mother henning us. And Mimi.
She was over there, and I could see her. She just come walking over there. And she said, "Get your black hands off of my granddaughters." Wow. And then when we got home, that picture we've got of the three of us in the tub. That was the
She
night.
was scrubbing us.
She scrubbed us till we were raw, because she said black people had an oil that would get on us, and because it would stain our skin. Oh my gosh, it was
She was difficult.
say the least.
One Christmas, they were down visiting, and I told her I wanted a black baby doll. She absolutely went into a...
Yeah.
So the Indian culture in them, or admitting that they were, or researching it and finding out what their ties were, were lost at that point. They were gone. Nobody related it to them. Nobody talked much about it at all. It wasn't mentioned or anything like that. Now, her sister Nell, being a born, raised, bred, forever, lifelong lived Texan, she could care less. She don't want to know. She was not interested.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Mom got very interested, you know, and wanted to know all about it, really got into it, and then, you know, she was the,
Joined Iowa and became the treasurer.
yeah, so anyway,
Went
she
to
was,
Washington.
She go down, make Indian fry bread at the fair.
yeah.
That's so funny to me that Mimi
She
didn't
was-
mind that her husband used to be married to an Indian woman. Like,
Well, like Andrew said.
Well, he
it
was an up and coming, he was,
up and comer.
yeah, and that's what she was really.
That's what she was. See, she was. When I say
Status.
she was born and raised in Bridgeport, Texas, which
Poor
was
farm.
just east of Fort Worth, and they were dirt farmers, and they were poor, and they didn't know when they were going to eat next, and they had
There's a
a
bunch of them.
pass on kids, kind of like we were, I guess. Anyway, she went to a secretarial school there in Fort Worth, and got to be a secretary, and she went to oil company with a specific agenda.
Marry an oil man.
Marry an oil man.
She was married before.
And
Yes.
she was married before,
Short time.
for a very short time.
Now, did she,
He
because they
died.
had no children, she had no children.
She never had
She
any children.
had, she told me she had infantile paralysis or something like that. In other words, it rendered her barren. She could not have children.
So when Daddy Pa
Thank
passed
goodness.
away, she got nothing?
No.
Oh, she got.
Oh, no, she got,
No, she
she
got
was an
everything.
inheritor.
Okay.
She didn't get everything. Who said everything?
I did.
No, she didn't get everything.
Three-way split, even up, down, sideways. Mhm.
That's right. One's at the house.
Well, not if that's not how it started out.
Well, see, she's difficult.
She wanted her,
She wanted all of it.
yeah, and then she
She
wanted her
hid money,
sisters.
she
and-
cleaned out bank accounts, she transferred stuff. It finally had to be a court order to cease and desist and restore everything.
Oh, wow.
wow,
Yeah.
so she was a nasty.
It took a couple
She
hours,
was.
I think.
She
to
was.
settle his estate.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so then,
Look at Grandma, the sorority girl.
yes, the sorority girl in her evening dress.
And there's our sweet daddy.
So, Barbara met John Moore while working in Riverside, California. After a courtship that led them to Phoenix, Arizona, they were married on May 24th, 1947.
And who's in this picture?
Aunt Lena is standing to the left of Daddy.
Okay.
Grandma Wilson to the right of Mom, Barbara.
And Grandpa was.
I'm not sure that's Grandpa Wilson.
Look like him, does it?
I think it looks more like Alva or Frank, one of her brothers, Grandma Wilson's brothers.
Oh, that could be.
Mhm.
Because he was
very
None of knows, yeah.
he wasn't alive then, was he?
I don't think he was.
It's
Yeah.
funny, May and Lena look exactly like they did in the picture when they were
Mhm.
younger.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy.
So then the next picture is John
Oh, yeah, the wedding.
Moore and Barbara on their wedding day. What a
He
hunk.
was.
And you know, I don't know if everybody's heard the story or not, but when Mom was in the Beatitudes, there was always a picture of Bernard up on the wall and her best friends, you know, the Bushes. and
No problem.
and a bunch of grandchildren and stuff like that. But there was this one gal who was always taking care, you know, one of the aides,
right.
who was in there and stuff like that. And we were up there one time, and she says, she goes, so this is y'all's father?
Your daddy?
This is your daddy? I said, no, as a matter of fact, he's not. And he goes, I said, we're from her first husband. Well, where's his picture? Where is his picture?
And Mom didn't even remember him.
So we went back to Angie's house and we got a picture and put it in a frame. We took it up there the next day and put it up there. And the girl goes,
That's your daddy.
that's your daddy? And so we had to tell Mom who he was.
She just could not.
She could not, and she kept telling everybody, I was married to him.
She said, I had 7 children with him. You'd think I'd remember her. When I went up there to see her, she told me that.
But
They
everybody,
tell me I had seven children.
everybody that sees this picture, they say, oh my goodness, he's got movie star looks. I mean, he is handsome.
That's
So,
what
yeah.
I think he shows up in most of the boys in this family.
Yes.
At some time or another, he looks like every single, you can see a feature in every single one of them.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's where the curly hair comes from.
And that was it.
You know, Mark's got curly hair. There's times that he looks like it. And times
So the next picture here, we lived in a house on Campbell Avenue.
I saw one where he looked like Paul.
So we lived on a house on Campbell Avenue, and because the family kept growing and growing, Daddy had enclosed this new room out there, and the house was a stucco, you know, a white stucco kind of thing. So you build it, you frame it up, and then you put tar paper over it, and then you put the chicken wire over it, and then you put the stucco on it. So it had everything but the stucco. And here, and so this is written in Mom's handwriting on the back of this picture. It says, which child didn't have her nap? Who do you think that is? Younger ones, guess who that is? That's Angie. Yeah.
The angel.
Oh, that one right there. I have this bit. Okay, so but this is Mom's handwriting. Which child didn't have her nap? This is what keeps Johnny busy evenings. Not the kids, the new room.
Then he got sick before
Then he
she
got sick before
Try
it
to keep
finished.
him busy in the evenings in the room because she didn't want any more of these.
So, and then this picture down here, to me, it's just the saddest group of little kids. We look like we're shell-shocked.
Yeah.
But this is our first Christmas after we didn't have a daddy.
Yeah. And Mimi was there.
And Mimi was there.
And she made us open our presents on Christmas Eve.
And we weren't used to that.
So Christmas morning we get up, when this picture's taken, you've got no gifts from Santa.
So look at the crappy tree up on top of the dresser.
That's the one that we brought down to AJ Bayless. And I had a quarter.
Yeah.
And I said, have you got any trees for a quarter? And he says, well, this one. And it looked like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I think Randy got the best gift, it's a Mickey Mouse guitar with a crank on the side.
Yeah.
With what inside? What ring?
The monkey was not new
And she got the monkey.
No, I didn't get that one. But you were still
You see those net bags?
I didn't get anything.
Yeah,
I grabbed
Stuff
up
in
an old
bags,
toy.
Yeah.
full of fruit and nuts.
Yeah.
What month did your dad die?
Orange.
It was in June.
I think I remember this freaky monkey.
I do.
It was in
It
the
was right
closet.
in the-
No, that was Rachel's. That's a different one.
That was Rachel's. That was a different
Rachel's
one.
is a different-
Look like
With Rachel's,
this.
you can stick the thumb in the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the picture here, that wasn't a Christmas gift. That was Angie's sidekick from wherever, from way back before Christmas, before that.
I just didn't get any presents, so I grabbed that one. And
Oh, you love your monkey.
That's what she's doing on the picture. It says
All the
that.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know everything.
So, and then on the back side, that's just a copy of
I'm gonna hurt somebody later.
Oh, wow.
the funeral, you know, pamphlet, what do you call it? Yeah, of Dad.
I'm just looking at Johanna's face, and she looks kind of obnoxious.
See the no bangs? She always cut her bangs completely off
And
at the
later on,
skull.
she'd cut her eyebrows, or
She
shave her
looks like she wants to
eyebrows
punch
off.
someone.
She was hungry.
So then, Barbara married Bernard Rohr July 14th, 1962. Following the births of Kathy and Rachel, that was 9 starving children. That was his
Boy, how many times
mantra.
did we hear that?
Yeah.
It was a good sales technique.
Yeah.
Always get the better deal.
And then I just put that other picture in there because I like it, and it shows her as a little bit older, you know, kind of along the timeline. That was at my wedding. That was at your wedding? I remember that wedding.
Was that
Wasn't
Rachel,
there
Rachel at the
Spike
bottom
Punch?
crying about something like her kids do?
Wasn't that Spike Punch?
I just remember thinking
The kids ate the orange.
Did you see the picture
Oh,
of
I know.
our family when we were a little bit older then at the top of the page?
Just like,
Yeah, that's not the one where I was pregnant. I slipped
See a
out on
little
the
kid on
cardboard
the
on
side, his
orange
head
peeling.
sticking barely in the,
No?
That's Johnny, right?
I bet you it's John.
Oh,
Yeah.
Probably climbing.
oh
around.
yeah, climbing on those bar stools and, you know, gonna fall on his head or something, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, then on the next page, this is a picture we took at Kiss the Cook. We all
Oh, yeah.
got gathered for Grandma's 80th birthday.
Who's the old man pushing mom in a wheelchair?
Yeah,
Mom didn't know who that was either.
Yeah, she didn't know who he was either.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says, who is that young man over there with the guitar?
And then that was her last Christmas. You know, this was at Angie's house at her last Christmas. And then her obituary's in there. Now, everybody in this room knew her. You have your own stories. You have your own pictures, whatever like that. You can add those to there or whatever. Create your own, you know, stories or whatever in that. I just kind of put the pictures in like a timeline, so you know, when those things happen. Now, Kathy, I did not put this in the back of your book because I'm not sure you're the only one in this room who might not care what about the Moore ancestry. So it's not in there. But for the rest of you,
Oh, John, I was just talking about this. I didn't know you'd done this.
yeah.
I said, I want to know more about the Moors.
Okay, well here's what we have. First of all, we can't trace them back as far as some of the other lines. It just
It's not
you
there.
just can't find it. It just doesn't. You know, we go
I
back
know
to
It's also a very, very common name.
1812.
My son-in-law has tried to get more information on it.
Yeah.
And
Okay, Terry brought up her son-in-law. That would be David Earl. And he's done a lot of research, and he has a family tree on Ancestry.com and things like that. David needs to have this information so he can go correct some misinformation.
right.
He has unknown Parker instead of Nakayape. He has Bernard, born in Kansas City, Missouri, not Logan, Kansas. He has mom, I think, in Norman, Oklahoma, not Tulsa. Daddy Pa in Oklahoma City.
I haven't
Not-
seen it, so I don't
Okay,
know what it
so
says.
there's a lot of misinformation there. And here's the thing, I'm worried about this misinformation going on because while I was searching around, like I said, every time you hit a name that associates with some other family tree, these little leaves come up on the side. This might be of interest to you. So I clicked on it like that, and Glennis Marcus is starting hers. And she has literally taken David's information and transferred it over.
Oh, no.
So we're going to have bad information, you know,
Yeah.
it has to be corrected, it has to be done, you know, it has to go right. So we don't want it to go further as misinformation.
David's worked really hard on that. He really, really has.
Oh, okay.
And myself, 'cause I want one, so.
So again, this is a family lineage thing, all printed out as far back as we can go. And again, we start with John, I mean, there's John Luther, but that's in association with mom. So then we go to Paul Moore. Paul Moore,
That's Johnny's dad.
Johnny's dad.
Mary Jane Moore.
And then we go to his wife, Leslie Hurt. And then we go all through her lines, fraternal and paternal, right? And you run into McCoys. McCoys.
Hatfield and McCoy.
Yeah. And
Really?
Really?
it's really.
Awesome.
And so then we get back to Moore's.
That's the
And
famous
where I
person.
have, where I've been able to find them, if you're doing any kind of genealogical research, you'll always come across Find a Grave. And if it go, you know, by the different cemeteries and stuff that are attached to it or something like that, you can find this information that says where they're buried. You might have a picture of their headstone, their birth, their death, their different things and stuff like that. So wherever I could find that, I've always printed that up and put it with that person. And the Moores, except for Leslie, because, you know, Grandma Moore, and she died here in Glendale, Glendale, she was buried out there, but she's buried here. The Moores from like 1812 are buried including Grandpa Moore, are buried in one cemetery, Oak Lawn Cemetery in Cooper, Texas.
How come she wasn't?
All of them. They lived out
I
here.
live down here in Glendale.
So including John Moore, your dad? He's very popular?
He's in
No,
there.
he's
And
Right, yeah.
Paul Moore, at the time Leslie Moore passed away, was a real raging alcoholic. Never had any money. So that's probably why she was just buried here or not.
Who is
Was he the guy who smoked a cigarette through a hole in his neck?
Later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow.
Written next
That was
to
pretty
Nanny.
dramatic to see that.
Nothing's gonna stop me from going.
Flavor.
Nanny B. McCoy. She married John Hurt. He died, and then she married Stater. She married Stater.
Oh, grocery stores in California.
These are just her two married names.
Stater brothers. Okay, so we're gonna tie it all up here. Again, you can go through here, there's some interesting things. Also, there's some documentation on the find of graves on different people that I could find. There are, some of them served in the Civil War, you'll find that. You know, what they served as. Harbin Moore
That's
was
the
a
one
Confederate
David has
soldier. Harbin Moore was a Confederate soldier, and, but also I was able to find his find a grave, I guess the grave site. Anyway, they're all there in Oaklawn Cemetery in Commerce, Texas.
Who is Carol Moore?
Who's Carol Moore?
Yeah, it's on this.
Oh, that was
Moore page.
Carol Moore was a niece that looked after Grandpa Moore when he lived back in his old age in Texas.
Okay.
When, who was the guy that had the Moore gas station? And,
Oh, that was a brother of his.
Brother.
Was that a brother or nephew?
I don't know. They all live there. There's a little tiny section over here, and it's Sulphur Springs, Commerce, Greenville, and Cooper. And
Cooper or
Cooper. Cooper, Commerce, Greenville, and Sulphur Springs. And that's where they were, and they're all just like with 10 miles, you know, it's all right. It's all right in there. So here's the thing. I had Andy give me these colored markers so I could track it, and I didn't do it all day long, did I? I mean, I pointed to it and stuff like that. But here's the interesting thing. Everybody started over here. And then they worked their way, as the country opened up, you know, over here, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. If you look at Paul Moore, the 1930 U.S. Census, Paul, Leslie, and John, at the age of 13, having lived all their life, all the Moores are right in here for generations, right?